Hello and welcome to Library Connection. I'm your hostess, Mandy Cantrell. I'm Youth Services Director at the B.B. Kramer Memorial Library, and the board and the staff join me in thanking TV47 for allowing us to showcase our service to the greater area here in Sylacauga. Today, I'm so pleased to have as my guest Kramer Jr. He works as the Public Relations and Marketing Director at South First Bank.
That's right, yes.
The last job you've got, well, not the last job, but one of several jobs you've had. Well, I don't know. We're going to get into all that in just a few minutes, but thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me here, okay. I welcome the opportunity.
Yes, we appreciate South First Bank and what you do with our sponsoring our brown bag programs that will begin in September.
Well, that's one of our prides and joys, because at the bank we feel like we're communities. Spirited, and we want to keep things going, and that is just one of the many things we do. And I think we've been doing that for almost 8 years.
It's been several years,
and we look forward to it. Yes.
Good,
yes.
Good. Well, I told somebody the other day, asked me, when are the brown bags going to start back? I said, well, summer is for children, and we have wonderful children's programs, but we'll be ready in September.
With the adults,
brown bags.
the younger and the older.
That's true.
That's right.
That's right. Yes. Well, all right. Well, let's start at the very beginning. Like we said, you're not from Sylacauga originally, are you?
Let's start at the very beginning.
Very beginning, that's right.
August 24, 1928, Savannah, Georgia. This person started life, okay? And then it moved along until 1942. After the war begun, and we moved over to North Charleston, South Carolina, because my father was with the Port of Embarkation in the fire department. He was a fire chief there. I went to high school there at North Charleston High School. Gosh, I almost forgot the name of the school. And in 1946, they said, no longer can you stay in the school system, okay? You got to get out, okay? So anyway, I moved out.
You graduated.
I graduated, yes.
Okay.
Kicked the front door open and off I went. And then for a year, I was at the North at the College of Charleston, which is a small community college, and fooled around then. And then in 1948, here comes a call at the Alabama Ordnance Works. My dad had the opportunity to be fire chief there, so we moved over here on a weekend, November. Yeah, it's the end of November, and it was the first time that Auburn and Alabama began their rivalry.
Oh my goodness, you remember that?
Yes, we were listening to it on the radio, and it was, what was that score, 55-0? And I thought, gosh, maybe I need to be an Alabama fan. That lasted for a long time. We'll get back to that later.
Yeah.
Because now it's War Eagle all the time.
That's right,
yes.
I hear you. Well, how neat. So that brought you to our area.
That brought me to our area.
With your family.
And I thought, gosh, I needed to do something, because I had worked at the Savannah Morning News in Savannah, Georgia for a year, my first taste of newspapering.
Yeah.
And I went upstairs. At that point, the radio station WMLS Curtis Lyles was upstairs, and the advanced newspapers were downstairs. And I said, I'd like to do radio. I had played around with that when I was in high school, yes. And he said, okay, let's see what you can do. And I did some reading for him, and he said, we could do that, but I really need somebody sailing. Are you any good at sailing? I said, I don't know. But anyway, that's not going to work out. So I went downstairs, talked to Bill Moody, went to work in February of that year. And I stayed there for a long time.
At the Sylacauga Advance?
At the Sylacauga Advance, a weekly newspaper.
Wow.
Yeah. And that kind of broadened my knowledge about bookkeeping and all kinds of stuff, commercial printing and all that good stuff.
Yeah. And you were in sales, is that correct?
I was in sales.
Oh.
And I called on everybody, all up and down the streets, the Goldberg Brothers, the Leader, the cash stores. Some of those stores aren't there anymore, and the banks had changed names and all that kind of stuff. But that was good. That was good. That was the beginning of, I guess, a good life. And then in 1950, First Methodist Church, their secretary was leaving, which happened to be my wife-to-be's sister.
Oh.
And she became the church secretary there, and Dan Whitsitt came by one day and said, we have a new secretary, I want to run her picture. Oh, we can do that. First of all, I have to have a telephone number.
Oh, yes.
So that was really the beginning of my life, when Jane and I met. And we married the next year, and Then the children came along, so I kind of up to date. So really, life begins for me when I come to this great city, Silicon.
Oh, well, great.
Yes, okay, yes.
Well, you have met a lot of people.
Yeah, I've met
in
a lot of
sales,
people
I
over there.
know, you,
Oh, yes,
including Jane, which is
I call you Jane,
wonderful.
yes.
That's great.
And then there were some great people, you know, the Goldbergs and all of those people, and Marion Thurman and the Smiths, and gosh, I could just go back and all. I could be a history buff. But I remember the good things, yes.
Oh, yes, that's
okay.
great. That's great.
This is a wonderful community, and people really don't realize it. I may touch base on that a little bit later as this interview goes.
Right,
okay,
right.
yes.
So, well, I'm certainly glad. I'm certainly glad you moved to Sylacauga.
So am I.
I'm glad.
Like I said, that's when life began for this older person.
That's true.
Yes,
That's
okay,
true.
yes. Okay.
Well, so you met Jane, y'all married, and you have. Tell us a little bit about your children, and then we'll get into grandchildren and all that a little bit.
Well, I have two special children. My daughter Margaret, who now lives in Eufaula. She's a retired school teacher. Her husband is retired from a paper mill, because paper mill seems to be in my background, because that's what my son does today.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's just all there. Everything's tied up together. And then they have a special young son who happens to be a grandson of mine, and I think his name is Josh Griffin. And somehow he happens to be sharing the summer with me because he's finished at Auburn University in media. And he needed to do some internship. So I said, come here. We'll work out something at this TV station.
Right.
And they were generous. So he's hanging around here somewhere. Okay.
He's actually in the other room.
Yes,
We're
right. He's
here
working.
today.
He said, I won't work the camera because I don't want you to feel embarrassed about anything. Okay. And then Chris has two. Carrie Jane, who finished at Birmingham Southern.
Yeah.
She was a head majorette at the high school. She is now a preacher, a Methodist preacher. She's in Southside. And she married a very handsome young man who is in the National Guard. He's a major in the National Guard. And we have my first great grandson. And I'm going to show you a picture of him a little bit later.
Yeah, we'll
okay?
do that, right.
And then Chris and Miriam also have Matt. And he's kind of a pride and joy too. Does it come across I'm kind of like my grandchildren?
I think so. That's wonderful.
Just a tad. And they're very special to me.
I know.
But Mac is in Nashville. He was he's a jazz musician and probably the best drummer there is around. But then I'm somewhat partial. But anyway, he plays with several bands up there. He plays with a bunch of real attractive girls that do bluegrass and a little bit of contemporary country.
Okay.
But he just plays with all of them. And I can see him someday, you know, being up on the stage behind that glass, and there he is, and that's mine, okay?
Yeah.
And he's getting married in September.
Great.
So that's the three, and yeah, you have to see a picture of them.
We will. I think we're going to take a commercial break, and then we'll come back.
Okay.
We will take
All
a
right.
commercial break, and then we'll come back and look at those pictures.
Recycling, it's nothing new, but how many of us actually do it? What's the point? Every time you toss out something that could be recycled, you're throwing away money. Recyclables are valuable, and when items like these are recycled, they are sold to businesses and made into new products. Alabama's recycling industry employs thousands of people, and more recycling equals more jobs, which equals more money put back in your local economy. See, recycling just makes sense. Let us show you how recycling works in and for Alabama.
Hey Birmingham, it's your favorite girlfriend, Ebony Steele, back in my hometown. My show, Coffee with America, is now on WOIL TV 47 4 days a week. Catch me and Sasha Rianda Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays at 8 a.m. You can also see us Saturdays at 10:30 a.m. We're bringing you the latest in lifestyle, food, entertainment, you name it. We'll see you soon.
Becoming a driver can be an exciting time for a teen, but it can also be challenging. And at very worst, deadly. Alabama ranks 5th in the number of teens killed in motor vehicle crashes every year. It's the leading cause of death among 16 to 24-year-olds. Alabama's graduated driver license law places restrictions on young drivers to help ensure their safety. Parents, know the law, enforce the law, and be a good example. Remember, the life you save may be your child's.
Hello and welcome back to Library Connection. I'm Mandy Cantrell. I've been talking the first part of our program with Chris Kramer Jr. So glad to be talking with you again today. And we were talking about your family. Well, we want to see pictures too.
Okay,
and I
we
know
do that?
they have
Okay.
some pictures we'll
Yeah.
see.
Not of me now. Don't get excited.
Oh,
no,
well.
you've already got me. You don't need them. Okay.
Well, who is this lovely young lady?
This is Carrie Jane. And Carrie Jane Kramer Jones. She's a Methodist preacher. She's in her 6th year up at Southside.
Right.
She's the senior pastor there. And she's kind of special, yes.
Oh.
She does a wonderful job up there. It just amazes me that she's turned out to be such an exceptional young lady. And she's pretty good in the pulpit.
I bet.
And I'm trying to think, oh gosh, and that's Mac. That's her brother.
Yeah.
And that's Sarah, my newest granddaughter is coming along in September.
Good.
And he's my drummer, and he's just exceptional too. And I'm looking forward to her moving into the family. In fact, they're going to be here for the holiday weekend.
Good.
So, anyway.
Now, Mac also works for...
He's for Apple, yes.
Right.
Oh, and look at here.
Oh, here we
go. If you recognize that little one, he looks like me. He's bald-headed, has no teeth. I mean, he's just like me. And you know what? And that's Carrie and Tiger. That's her husband. And that's little Zachary. And that gown that he has on is my christening gown for 100 years ago.
Oh.
It was so fortunate that it was available and she wanted to use it. So it just made me feel real
how
good to have that.
sweet.
And that's at the church. And that's the whole family. That's me and Carrie Jane and Mac, and then son Chris in the background.
Mm-hmm.
That's our 4 generations, yes.
Wow, 4 generations. That's
Yeah, and they're all so young. And look at that. That's the christening that we had back in December, and he was wearing that gown of mine. Do you know it was still together? I mean,
was.
it's forever old.
Yes.
And an interesting point of it to me is it was made by my father's oldest sister.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
she must be, gosh, because my parents are in the hundreds, okay? But it was handmade by her, so it's been around for a while.
How
yeah.
special, and
And
that's a very special
yeah.
young man.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Oh, here's another
and there's
special
that,
young man.
There's that drummer.
Yeah.
And he is just tremendous, But then I'm kind of partial to all my grandchildren.
Well, that's Mac. He's
That's
very
Mac,
talented.
yes, right.
Very talented.
And he lives in Nashville. And there is Zachary again with a thank you that he sent us at Christmas time for all the Christmas gifts he's gotten. And he writes real well, yes.
Oh, to be look at that.
He's
big
coming up on
smile.
8 months old. Yeah.
Oh,
so
that's
anyway,
so nice.
but he's kind of special.
I guess he got a gift or two, maybe.
Maybe just a few. Yes, just a few. Yes.
Oh my goodness. Well, you have a wonderful
Wait a
family.
minute, we missed one. Is there another one in that picture?
Is there
girl?
another one of one of your hobbies? Is that
No, somewhere there was Josh, but maybe
no,
we didn't get to show
we
him.
need to show Josh.
Yes, where did he go? He said he was going to send it. But anyway, he's around here. He's the camera operator.
Yeah.
And he's pretty special too. And he's staying with me this summer. So he and I are getting adjusted to each other. Because, when you've been by yourself a long time, so, when life...
Hard to...
Yeah, every now and then, life shows you just a different curve that you've not been expecting.
Right.
Anyway.
What a
good.
pleasant one, though.
But a very pleasant, because it's all worked out well.
It has worked great. Well, now I know you have a lot of family that you love, but you have a lot of other things you do. You worked for the Silicock Advance for, I think, was it 45
Well,
years?
from 48, 49 to 84, which is a little few years in there, from the weekly to the daily. And then the opportunity became to work for the Daily Home, which I did until 1994.
Okay.
And I
Still
reached
doing the
that
same-
age, I've just
thing.
a lot of news to be. I think I need to retire. And
No.
Jane had already retired, and I thought, well, this is going to be good, all right? So a couple of years, they said, John Floyd at the Chamber of Commerce says, if you're not doing anything, why don't you come work with us for a few days, 3 days a week? Okay. Nice little income, nothing great, but take care of the necessities. And I worked with the retiree program. Being
perfect.
a retiree, and we tried to get things together to get the retirees involved, because you don't ever need to retire. Don't ever do that. That's a mistake, because life shortens itself when you do that. But I did that for 3 years, and during that period of time, wife Jane had some health problems, and then that resolved itself, and she passed away in 2002, and maybe 3 months later, South First Bank calls and says, would you like to come work with us? And yeah, I need to do that.
Good.
So I've been there 14 years.
My goodness.
And I do public relations. I do some marketing, which is all the promotional things that we do, and all the radio, all the television, all the print, all the billboards, and it's just expanded what I'd always done.
Right.
And I learned something new.
What?
Because I'd been in the newspaper business where I called on everybody every time. And then when I got here and I got to doing this, and I thought, gosh, this is nice. They're coming to me. God, isn't that great?
It's
For
kind of
all
a
these
flip,
other media.
flip.
Yeah, they
Oh,
kind of flipped
nice.
over. So I kind of like that,
Oh,
so I kind of
good.
like that. But anyway, I enjoy what I'm doing. I work with a great, wonderful group of people who are very kind to me, and they just respect what I do. And I just like to share my life with people. Yes.
Oh, that's
okay,
great.
yeah.
That's why you are so good at what you do.
I don't know about that, but I try
great,
anyway.
great.
Okay, good.
Now,
Yes.
I know you also you work at South First Bank about 4 days a week, and Mondays you're a red coat.
Oh, that's another thing. Yes, I'm at the hospital. And that started about 14 years ago because they were very nice and they took care of my wife so well when I was up there. And I thought, I kind of like this. And maybe I can reciprocate a little bit. So I started out pushing wheelchairs, and over the years, knee got to acting up. So I thought, okay, where's my next step? So I've ended up for the last 5 or 6 years up in the day surgery unit, where we welcome all of the patients in, move them back and forth, keep them in contact with what's going on when they're going through that, and try to help them to relax when they're uptight, because when you're in that situation, you kind of, you're uptight. I don't try to make fun of everything, but just to get them in kind of a relaxed mood.
That's great.
So that they can smile a little bit, and I'm pretty bad about carrying on with it. So, yeah.
That is so important, though.
Well, it
I've
is to
been in
me.
a waiting room waiting for someone having surgery or something like
And
that.
let me say this, if anybody wants to be a part of helping others, the hospital, Coosa Valley Medical Center Auxiliary is the place for you to be. It's a 4-hour shift. We'll feed you lunch, and you just get to see what's going on in the world, and you can help other people. And I think that's what life is all about, helping other people.
Y'all have a large group. I know you can
Of course,
always
we
use
have
more,
about
but that
50
is
up there
wonderful.
now. We normally have about 75.
Oh, you are in there.
But sometimes age creeps in and people cannot do things anymore. So, and there's so many opportunities here for people to volunteer, and they're all important. I kind of lean toward the auxiliary.
Sure, that's what you do.
Because that's what I do. And I think it's a great way. Yes.
Great. Well, we're going to take another commercial
All right.
break, and then we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about your hobbies and things like that. I hope you'll join us.
Hey, Sylacauga, I'm Dr. Gina, and I want you to join me live every weeknight, Monday through Friday, right here on Channel 47 on the world's first social television show. And it's going to be all about you, whether it's presidential politics or Deflategate. If it's trending, we're going to be talking about it. I want you to join me live every Monday through Friday on Channel 47. Don't miss it. America Trends with Dr. Gina, Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. right here on Channel 47. See you then.
In Alabama, finding a place you and your family will love comes naturally at any one of our beautiful state parks, where you can stay and play. Alabama state parks provide opportunities for adventure on the water, in the woods, and even just hanging around. Whether you want to explore the foothills of the Appalachians or wade into the warm waters of the Gulf, Alabama is a natural delight. To learn more, call 800-ALAPARK or visit alapark.com.
Recycling, it's nothing new, but how many of us actually do it? What's the point? Every time you toss out something that could be recycled, you're throwing away money. Recyclables are valuable, and when items like these are recycled, they are sold to businesses and made into new products. Alabama's recycling industry employs thousands of people, and more recycling equals more jobs, which equals more money put back in your local economy. See, recycling just makes sense. Let us show you how recycling works in and for Alabama.
Hello and welcome back to Library Connection. I'm Mandy Cantrell. I'm talking with Chris Kramer Jr. from South First Bank, and we've talked a lot about your jobs. I know you've done a lot more than work all your life, and be a red coat at the hospital. I know that's not exactly work. It is work when you're there. I'm sure y'all do a great job. But you've also been involved with the rec department, boys club, Rotary, different things like that.
Yeah, for a number of years I was on the rec department, on the board, and had the opportunity to work with Maxie Vesey and Beth Yates, all during the early Miss Sylacauga pageants, way back when. And I understand that you've been exposed to that also,
daughter, yeah.
because your daughter, was the Miss Sylacauga.
It's a great program.
Those were
Wonderful
some good
program.
years. In the Rotary Club, I was treasurer for a number of years and got out of that. For the Boys Club, I was on the board for years and worked with all the golf tournaments. And you know, another opportunity that I had was with the male chorus. Not during the early years, but later when Ben Carlton was the director.
Okay, I do remember.
And that was good. They let me sing a little bit, yeah. Okay. They would get in because I had a big group at that time, so it didn't really matter. And at one time I was in the choir at Wesley Chapel, which happens to be my church, where I do work with food service over there now because we do monthly things.
Oh, okay.
But for a period of time, they were looking for, we need some quantity in the choir. So they said, would you join us? And I did. And the quantity got good. And all of a sudden, we need quality. So you need to go sit in the congregation.
Oh.
So I moved up from that. Yeah.
I kind of doubt that's really how it happened, but I won't ask anymore.
Yeah, don't go there.
That's great, though.
Okay,
So
yeah.
you have been active all of your life. All
Yes.
of your life. Very
Well, you know, I have this philosophy. If you don't go do something, you waste away. I mean, and I see that a lot, and I don't mean that unkind, but I think that you need to keep going all the time. Because, you know, gosh, I'm in the older American group, about to hit 80 years old. 88 years old. Good gracious, I can't even add and subtract anymore. But I think you need to keep going all the time. Because it keeps your mind going.
Yes.
And that's what's so good about me being able to work at the bank now. Because you're constantly meeting people and you're trying to portray to them, you know, that everything is good, okay? Just enjoy life. Don't sit back because, you know, maybe it's vain for me, but I see some people, men that are older, even younger than me, and I thought, gosh, they're kind of wasting away. But then, you know, I refuse to be old. I'm just not going to do that.
Right.
Yes, there are days when I think, good Lord, if I have to keep going, but He makes it possible for me to keep going.
That's
Yes,
great.
yes.
Well, I hope you never retire.
I'm not planning on it.
Again.
I mean, my goal is 90, okay, and that's just 2 years away. And they will probably ask me to retire.
I don't know.
But I don't know.
We'll see.
They're good to me. They're good to me. Everybody there is good to me. Yes.
good.
Okay.
Well, now you have some hobbies also. One of them is photography.
Oh, well, yes. And I think we maybe brought a picture or two.
Yes.
I like flowers, things, and look at this is right offside my deck.
A magnolia.
It's a magnolia tree. It's a volunteer that started years and years ago. And this is what is an interesting story to me because it's real personal. It never bloomed, it grew and grew and grew. And the very next year, after Jane died, it had its first bloom.
Oh.
And now it's just covered with blooms.
Yeah.
And I can't think, you know, that takes me home. But this, I took just probably 2-3 weeks ago. And the more I looked at that picture, I could see those little indentions right at the middle. And then I turned it upside down.
There it is.
And I don't know whether you all can see what I see, but that's a human being. They're the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. And this is the bow on the top of that person's
That's a
head.
fact.
And you know, I can make it do 2 or 3 people. I think that was my first grandchild.
Okay.
I can think it's other people. I could think, oh, maybe that's Jane telling me to get off of it and go on, okay? But that's what I love about photography, that you can see things that are not there the first time. And when I took this to work one day to the bank, I was showing it to the people, and they said, get away from me. There's something about this picture. There's something wrong with you. But that's just nature.
It is.
That's life.
That's great.
Saying life is good.
And I think you told me you like to take snapshots of magnolia blooms in all their different stages.
In their forms, yeah. From the very beginning when they open. I take them after they turn brown. I have a video of the bees around them the other day, and it just fascinates me, because the camera will do, you know, some video too. It's kind of hard to get it off from there. But I just, in clouds, and you just need to look at nature and see what it offers you, okay?
Right.
I mean, it's just out there.
And we're so busy sometimes, I think we don't stop
we don't
to
miss
take-
that. That's what I like about the mornings, because I'll just watch the world wake up, and it helps me wake up. And we all need to do that. We need to realize what God's given for us, and to appreciate it, and to share it. You know, it doesn't cost anything for you to smile and say good morning to somebody.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true.
It costs a lot if you're always in the dumps. And, you know, maybe I'm too much, but I know every day when I go into work, I make the rounds of everybody and just say, good morning, how are you doing? You know, that kind of stuff. And tell some crazy little story. You know. But that's me.
That's wonderful, though, because I know sometimes we just get kind of tunnel vision,
Okay,
and
we
I've
do,
got to go
right.
right to my desk and get busy.
And get
but
everything going, yes.
But you know, we missed. Then we're missing out on those personal
That's right,
relationships.
okay.
So that's great.
And there's something about this town that people don't realize how wonderful Sylacauga is. It's been good to me. And there's so many wonderful things about it. It bothers me that so many people look at all the negatives when there are more pluses here than you can imagine. And that, to me, is what we need to promote all the time. We've got various industries, because people say, bring this one in, bring that. We need all those kinds of things. We have an exceptional hospital, award-winning. We have an exceptional board education system, both here and in the county. And, you know, in city government, the library, who else in Alabama has a library like we have here? It just has everything you could imagine. There are all kinds of opportunities for you to be involved, clubs. We look after feeding the children. There's everything. It's a good place to live, the Marble City.
Well, thank you so much for making our city what it is today. And thank you for being a guest on Library Connection, and I hope you'll join us the next time. And come see Chris at South First, or
I'll
the
be
library,
there.
or the hospital, wherever you
I'll
are.
be there.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.